Former President of United States of America, George Bush, declared what became known as the War on Terror on Iraq and Afghanistan, stating that, I quote, "It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated." What followed was a massive disinformation campaign to justify the 2003 invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan under the pretext of locating and destroying weapons of mass destruction. Decades later, no such weapons were ever found. This invasion was about minerals and oil reserves, not weapons of mass destruction. Iraq and Afghanistan have never recovered. Cuba, Libya, Venezuela, and Chile are examples of nations that have suffered from US interventions because of their socialist policies, justified by false intelligence to advance imperialism. Cuba has endured decades of sanctions for nationalization of strategic sectors of the economy, supporting African liberation and socialism, while Libya was destroyed because Gaddafi rejected US dominance. We raise these historical facts because history must guide us in everything we do. When Donald Trump declares that, I open quote, "bad things are happening in South Africa," without evidence, we must not assume that the USA is misinformed. Instead, we must question the real intention behind such statement. After Trump's remarks, the US froze foreign aid globally under the pretext of assessing alignment with the policy outlook. For South Africa, this meant PEPFAR funding of HIV/AIDS response was under threat. On 26 February 2025, the freeze became permanent, terminating funding indefinitely. The US aggression towards South Africa is nothing more than Israel's revenge for our moral stance in support of Palestine. Meanwhile, some of us have been labeled international criminals, a designation used before the West assassinates those who opposed its agenda. Before invading the nations, the US always fabricates human rights violations to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interests must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not demonstrating strength. The USA is merely displaying an advanced stage of capitalism, which is imperialism. Trump engages in transactional and manipulative relationships with the world like it is his backyard. The hostility towards South Africa does not come from fraudulent boers spreading disinformation, but from America's imperialist agenda. The USA, home of the world's most sophisticated intelligence agencies, agencies that fabricate evidence to justify their invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and orchestrated the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, cannot now claim to be victims of disinformation from a minor racist group based in Orania. The USA has openly embraced the golden age of imperialism, extending its power through threats and the prevention and termination of foreign aid. In response, our government foolishly seeks to explain our policies to a maniacal president, as if the USA were a victim of misinformation. The USA knows exactly what it's doing and why it is doing it. At a Goldman Sachs event of the 27th of February 2025, South Africa President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stated, I quote, "Trump got the wrong end of the stick of the country's land policies." I completely reject this notion. The USA, home of Elon Musk's platform, X platform, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Starlink, and Silicon Valley, the global hub of data collection, cannot claim to be misinformed. They are the greatest perpetrators of disinformation. The USA is the greatest perpetrator of disinformation. It is now using its own falsehood as justification to attack South Africa. This government refused to acknowledge the real issues. We are being punished for supporting Palestine against apartheid Israel, nothing else. The USA does not believe there is a white genocide or land grabs in South Africa. These lies are useful tools to justify economic aggression and seek to weaken our moral authority to condemn Israel's genocide. Foreign aid has always been a tool for Western imperialism and control. It must end with South Africa. We must expand our trade and strengthen relationship with China, India, Russia, Brazil, and Singapore while emphasizing African unity. The USA is on a full mission to extort the world into submission, and as a result will become increasingly isolated. Our sovereignty, security, and economic prosperity on rejecting the American Golden Age, a project of imperialism. The world must move forward without the USA if true progress is to be achieved. We are not the puppets of the USA. We will never be bullied by Donald Trump and his friends. South Africa remains an independent state, which is not handled by the USA. The majority of South Africans love their whites. They worship them everywhere they go. Why will they kill them? They always seek white validation and affirmation of whiteness. It is a black talent. It is a black talent. It is not a black talent until white people say so. If it is a black skill or innovation, it is not until white say so. If it is black quality product, it will have to pass many hands before they endorse this product. Any political party without white endorsement will never receive any electoral support and financial support until white establishment says so. Like the Cuban people will never give up on our freedom against American imperialism. We must unashamedly continue to stand with Palestine and Russia. We are product of international solidarity. We are Palestinians and they are Africans. We will die shoulder by shoulder with Palestinian people. We will be buried next to their graves because no amount of American bullying and financial dictatorship will separate us. Not even death will succeed. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. We are not product of land theft or genocide. We are not grabbing any land, but claiming what rightfully belongs to us. We are not engaged in what genocide. Instead, we are coexisting with our white murderers. Whatever it takes, this land shall be expropriated and will be returned to its rightful owners. Victory is certain. Hasta la victoria siempre.
I now invite the Honourable the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. Order, Honourable Members. Order.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, you know, I teach my kids, I said to my kids always, most people don't live with reality. I said, if you want to be successful, look at your reality, not perception. America needs South Africa. South Africa needs America. If we don't work together, both of us shall lose, but South Africa shall lose more. America does not have doctors currently that's out of a job. We have medical students that don't have a job. Worse PEPFAR, without PEPFAR, it shall be worse. People are going to die. HIV/AIDS is going to kill our people. I am coming here today. If you hate America, that's fine. If you think this is about Donald Trump, that's even fine. But this is not about Donald Trump. This is about the 230,000 people that will be out of a job. This is about the people that will be dying. I'm not here. I don't care what you feel. So to South Africans, come here with a plan. Don't hi me here. You have medical aid. You have free medical aid. You have free state medical aid. You come here, hi. I'm talking for the people with no medical aid. All the people in this tent have medical aid. And the ones that run to America, I want to warn you, we have a Minister of International Affairs. We have a president. The reason why you're not posting the pictures of your American stay, because you met the janitors, you met the people there, this gate. Show us who you met. So I want to say to South Africa, let's fix our relationship. You talk about BRICS. Russia, rightly so. Russia jumped at the opportunity to restore the relationship with America. India was the first visit that happened, was India. Don't come here. The world is going right. You want to go this way. We need each other. So I want to say to South Africans, you can howl as much as you like. At the moment, we can't even give our doctors a job. In conclusion, because PEPFAR has been removed, there's now 17% of the money is gone. I want to ask the president of this country, can we immediately stop to give illegal foreigners any medical help? They should be banned from all our hospitals. They must go to their countries who has a good relationship with America. And I want to say to the Americans, they can say what? In 2000, when people were dying, George Bush gave money and he assisted. Some of us, we don't forget the persons. We have gratitude. I want to say, not everybody hates America. We don't hate America. And not everybody here is saying America should go to hell. Some of us are saying, stop listening to racists giving you wrong information, but let's get together, let us talk, let President Ramaphosa sit with President Trump in a room, and they worked out the deal. Illegal foreigners must be banned from all our hospitals, starting from today. Salute.
The next speaker is the Honourable.
Thank you very much. House Chair, I understand why the representatives of imperialist forces will want to silence this voice. And that's why they will stand up to raise unnecessary question. House Chairperson, the first remark we wish to make is that there was a very little engagement politically. If anything, people want to blackmail us about aid and all sorts of things. But they know very well that there is no reason related to any wrongdoing by South Africa which has led to USA cutting its own aid. You can't say Donald Trump must be elected today and the following day he makes executive orders and then you come here and blame the South African government as if the South African government did not do anything in between. That was a predetermined outcome where he wanted to come into office and punish South Africa for its position on Palestine and many other issues. We must be very clear that we are not going to agree to any form of bullying by anyone. It's a lie that there is farm killings in South Africa. Actually, those who are married in farms and owning farms, they kill each other for money, for policy monies. The farmers themselves kill each other for greedy reasons. The farm workers kill the farmers because they rape them in exchange for money and do not pay them, like Eugene Terreblanche did when he raped a farm worker and did not want to pay. We cannot be told that there are farm murders in South Africa when the farmers themselves are actually killing the farm workers. It was the white farmers who killed 2 women in Polokwane and fed them to the pigs. It's a complete lie that white people are being killed in South Africa. If anything, white people live in privilege, and that's what Donald Trump knows. You cannot say Donald Trump is misinformed. They've got the best intelligence equipment in the whole world. They even have a military base next to South Africa in Botswana to listen to every conversation we have. They can tell you what is in private conversation in the executive and everywhere else. They don't need AfriForum. They are using AfriForum as a scapegoat to punish us politically. And we ought to be very clear about that. When the aid came into South Africa at the first place, it was not to help Africans. It was imperialist forces putting the aid into South Africa so that they can control South Africa. And use that aid to always say to you, if you take a political stand against the imperialist forces, we'll always cut the aid. So we ought to have known even then that we're not supposed to entirely rely on the USA. I'm very happy that the Minister of Health is speaking about possible interventions that can be made to avoid that aid of America. We can do with every help, but we will never accept help that say we must allow the perpetuation of white privilege. We cannot allow the whiteness to prevail in South Africa because we want to save life. We will save life. America did not save us during apartheid. Children were murdered in 1976. Children were murdered in the 80s. Where was America against apartheid? If America had anything to save an African life, it's a lie. They never wanted to save us. They were never there for us before. Palestine was there for us. Cuba was there for us. Russia was there for us. America will never choose friends for us.
Honorable
we will
member,
choose our own
your
friends.
time
Thank
is
you
now
very much.
expired. Thank you. Order, honorable members.
Thank you, House Chairperson. It was a great sign of Africa, President Kwame Nkrumah, who once said, "We face neither east nor west, we face forward." These honorable members is the foreign policy outlook of the Republic of South Africa. Indeed, we as South Africa face neither east nor west, we face forward and we are moving forward. We welcome this pivotal debate called by Honorable Malema. While we acknowledge the invaluable contribution of PEPFAR to our health system and the whole continent, we should not bemoan the sovereign decision of the United States of America to revise its US aid policy, but seize this moment as a catalyst for change. We must act in unison to mitigate the negative impact of the US aid cuts. We must seize this moment to reconceptualize our global system and ensure that our domestic imperatives serve our nation efficiently and sustainably. Section 231 of the Constitution provides that foreign policy is the responsibility of the National Executive, which is vested in the President. Ms. Powell, the GNU does not supersede the Constitution. There is no party in the GNU that can go to any foreign country to represent South Africa's interest. You can go represent the interest of your party. It's a right that all parties have, but not the national interest of the people of South Africa. Our Constitution protects the rights of all citizens to protest as we used to protest to fight against unjust laws of apartheid. There is nothing unjust in our Constitution for solidarity and AfriForum to protest for in Washington. Our struggles were for the common good of all and not for a select race. They have positioned themselves against the people of South Africa. As we mark Human Rights Month, we remain committed to the democratic socio-economic transformation agenda of our country to reverse the legacy of colonialism and apartheid dispossession, discrimination and marginalization. Our Constitution enjoins us to build a just and equitable South Africa in which all shall share in its prosperity. Honorable House Chair, we remain steadfast in advancing international peace and security through inclusive dialogue and peaceful political settlement of disputes in the African continent and beyond. Honorable Speaker and members, for 30 years, South Africa and America enjoyed sound bilateral relations. Whenever we had differences, we tackled them through constructive dialogue. Just as we value the strategic partnership with the US, so we do with countries from the global north. This is encapsulated under the pillar of North-South dialogue in our foreign policy. In short, it is about dialogue and partnership, not paternalism or imperialism. We place great value on our sovereignty, independence, and autonomy, while committing to engagements with all states, including the United States. Honorable House Chair, in terms of our policy orientation, we are not in place of confrontation and antagonism. We are in the business of diplomacy and dialogue. But this should never be viewed as timidity and weakness. We will continue to remain firm in this regard. Hence our President's mantra that we will not be bullied. The US is South Africa's biggest trading partner in the world after China. There are 601 US firms that have invested in South Africa, many using South Africa as a gateway to other African countries. These companies range from technology and finance, manufacturing and industry, healthcare and pharmaceutical, energy and mining. Their investment is a huge testament of confidence in South Africa's potential for growth and development. South Africa is the largest exporter to the US in the African continent. South Africa-US bilateral trade stands at 21 billion rand in 2023. South Africa also exports to the US 13.9 billion rands. We import at the value of 7.2 billion rands. South Africa's global exports are distant for US average 2021 to 2023. From 2019 to 2024, the US ranked as South Africa's agricultural exports destination. South Africa exports to the US platinum, motor vehicles, reaction initiators, ferrolus, citrus, jewelry, nuts, chemicals, wines, engines and turbines, and ships and boats. There are currently about 22 South African companies invested in the US, providing about 6,900 jobs. So the relationship is mutually beneficial. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way traffic. There is huge exchange of knowledge between South Africa and the US universities that is mutually beneficial. We've gained a lot in the exchange of new technologies between the two countries. It is a country who can continue to gain in the field of new technologies and taking our country to greater heights. In the context of multilateral trade, South Africa remains an active champion of reforms that prioritize development and equity. Our worldview is therefore universal and not narrow. We are concerned with the well-being of others as well-being is linked to ours too. Speaker, the world is rapidly changing. Interdependence is pitted against competition. Cooperation is being shifted in favor of conflict. For us, values are placed at the altar of transactions. A growing body of evidence indicates that the actions of the current US administration can be understood through what is preferred as the Project 2025. To elaborate, Professor Albert at Princeton University, whose research and teaching focus on political campaigns and public policy, argues that nearly all actions taken in the President Trump's second administrations were outlined in 2022 in a plan called Project 2025. Here is an extract on US aid from that plan, and I quote, US foreign aid has been transformed into a massive and open-ended global entitlement program captured by and enriching the progressive left. The next conservative administration should scale back US aid global footprint by at a minimum returning to the agency's 2019 pre-COVID-19 pandemic budget level. It should de-radicalize US aid programs and structures and build on the conservative reforms instituted by the Trump administration. Close quote. There is no question that executive orders churned out rapidly are in step with this mandate. In addition, speeches by US office bearers illustrate a notable shift towards this perspective. South African government has maintained peace as the only viable solution to the Ukraine conflict. We were cajoled in isolating Russia, even to the point of being accused of arming the Russians. As we speak, the United States of America is starting that the only peace that can be viable solution to the Ukraine conflict and exclusively engaging with Russia. What we called for earlier, now the world is moving in that direction. This current moment in geopolitics has proven that our principled, non-aligned foreign policy approach is the correct approach. We have to stand by our principle, no matter what, and it is because of this that everyone is now coming to the table, that all parties to the Ukraine conflict must be called back to have a meaningful dialogue and to achieve peace. Our response to this rapidly shifting sense should include collaboration and partnership and strategies to be less reliant on foreign assistance. We as a country have to build our own domestic capabilities to be self-sustainable. In 2022, the African Union adopted the new public health order aimed at promoting greater self-reliance in health agendas. It calls for, and I quote, strengthen public health institutions, domestic resource mobilization, local manufacturing of health products, health workforce development, respectful and action-oriented partnerships. This is the way forward and must be implemented by us as a nation and the African continent as a whole. Our experience with COVID-19 pandemic taught us a great deal. COVID-19 taught us that we must become self-reliant or face being at the mercy of rich nations in the West, who proved themselves capable of acts like holding life-saving vaccines and giving us Africans the leftovers. It must not happen again, and it will not happen. We, under the leadership of Minister Motsoaledi, we must continue to build self-reliance in our manufacturing capabilities to respond to these challenges. We owe it to ourselves and future generations to build a robust, self-sufficient and sustainable health infrastructure. The gains we have made over the last 2 decades are fragile. Without sustained investments to bolster the national response to pandemics and viruses, the future human and economic costs will be heavy. As the Minister of Health has already highlighted in the debate, we must continue to be self-sufficient to safeguard our continent's future. But in the spirit of progressive internationalism, we will engage all, including the country that will succeed us as the G20 president, the United States of America, not only at home, but also in terms of enhancing global health security. It is a great privilege that this opportunity occasioned by these shifts takes place at a time when we hold the G20 presidency. We will choose Ubuntu diplomacy, emphasizing mutual benefit, solidarity, and cooperation. We will not give up on equal rights and equal opportunities and equal rules as a basic principle of multilateralism. We will continue to ensure that we build alliances across the globe to make our economy self-reliant and respond to the investment challenges that we'll continue to face. We face neither East nor West, so we'll continue working with the countries in all countries to build multilateral platforms. We shall fight to be free. We will build our own society, in our own society. We will sing our own song, Amandla Awetu. This is an extract, Sing Our Own Song, written and performed by the British reggae UB40. The song was created as an anti-apartheid song, faced censorship in South Africa, featuring the ANC rallying cry, Amandla Awetu. It is regarded as a significant protest song of that era. Our foreign policy echoes this spirit. We will indeed build our own society. In our own society, we will sing our own song. We must build our own self-reliance so that we can sing our own song. We must continue to march forward, build industrialization that will respond, and continue to cooperate and build partnerships across the globe that will respond to these emerging challenges. Amandla Ngawethu. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, that concludes this debate. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.